I'm Judd Oliver. Got a new story I'm working on here. Yet quite what to name it, but I think maybe Ben's World. For those of you who don't especially care to read, I'm willing to read it to you right now. So let me explain about Ben. Sometimes Ben just likes to sit and think about things and wonder. You know, a person might wonder sometimes. Like what is life? And stuff like, why do ants live in little tiny holes in the ground? Can't be very comfortable coming home from work every day to the same old hole in the ground. No couch to lay down on. Not even an easy chair to lean back in. Must be hard to get a good night's sleep, too, lying on huge grains of sand, all scrunched up. Be like a human trying to sleep on a pile of big rocks. And he started feeling so sorry for the ants, he got up and made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for him and put it outside near the ant hole. He even left it open-faced. The ants wouldn't have to burrow through a lot of bread to get to the good stuff. Ben could be really big-hearted sometimes. Yesterday, he wondered why he had never become a theoretical physicist. I mean, no one had ever asked him if he wanted to. It would be a simple question to answer if someone had only asked. He could have just said yes or no. Of course, if someone had asked, what would you like to be, it would be a lot harder, because theoretical physicist is not the easiest thing to say. But he figured that the toughest part of that job would be answering the question about what he does for a living. And he'd have to answer without getting his tongue all in the dither. So now he'd figured out why he'd never become one. Another of life's questions answered. Of course, could have business cards printed. Too late. So another question would always enter his mind then. Seemed nearly impossible to just sit and relax without another perplexing question arising. Like his wife Verna had asked, Ben, how come you never learned the tango? He'd been sitting there analyzing last week's football game, and she had to ask a question like that. You are picking on me again, Verna. I ain't picking on you. I just asked a simple question. You're always pointing out things I can't do. You never compliment me on stuff I'm good at. It was just a simple question, Ben. You could just answer it without making such a fuss. It ain't a simple question. Well, how simple does a question have to be before you'd call it simple? Well, you could have asked, Ben, did you ever learn the tango? That'd be simple. What would you say? I'd say, no. Well, but you always have to ask why. There's some other complicated thing. At least a deeply philosophical contemplation and stuff like that. You never had a deeply philosophical thought in your life, and you know it, Ben. How can you say such a thing? Easy. Huh. I don't tell you all my serious thoughts. Why do I always have to keep telling you to take the garbage out? See, you can't ask a question that can be answered yes or no. You have to get all wound up in motivation and all that stuff. Ben, will you take the garbage out? No. See, said Verna, simple request like that, and you refuse. That's why I search for motivations. I'll tell you my motivation, Verna. It's been after all I've been taking the garbage out all these years. You never once have complimented me on it. Verna looked amazed. She shook her head. You mean you expect me to say, hey, Ben, you sure did a good job of taking the garbage out? Maybe. After I make your supper every night, and sometimes even bake you a cake, that wasn't my cake. That was for the both of us. And your mother ate most of it. Now, don't you start picking on my mother. And Lord knows you can't say a word without complaining. Well, I was sitting here, Verna, minding my own business, thinking philosophical stuff before you interrupted. That'd be the day. Verna, Have you ever heard of a theoretical physicist? A what? You ain't going to get me to say that again. Somebody's at the door. Well, answer it. You answer it. You're closer. Sheesh, Verna said, opening the door. Oh, hello, Mother. Mother walked into the room, sat in an easy chair. She was wearing one shoe and she was carrying the other one. She shook the shoe at Verna and said, "Look at this damn mess." Verna looked. "What do you got all over your shoe, Mama?" "Some damn fool left a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right in the middle of your sidewalk and I stepped in it." "I can't imagine who might have done that," said Verna. "Let me clean it off for you." So Verna got some paper towel from the kitchen and began wiping Mama's shoe. Ben just sat there in his chair, looking innocent. The way he did that is to look up at the ceiling with his mouth hanging open. If some independent person had seen him looking like that, up at the ceiling with his mouth open, they would have thought, now there is an innocent man. But Mother says, "I see your no good husband Ben is still sitting in the same damn spot." It's a good thing they didn't know that Ben had fed the ants. Some things are better left secret. It's kind of like giving money to charity without expecting any credit for it. "Your name, sir?" asked the charity person. "Just say it's from a friend," answered Ben. "He is contemplating learning the tango," said Verna. "Huh," said Mother. "He'd have to stand up to do that." Ben turned toward Verna. "Tell your mother. I won the 100-yard dash one time, and I was so fast." "Well, tell her yourself." "Well, whatever I tell her goes in one damn ear and out the other." "Tell your husband. If he had anything to say worth listening to, I'd listen," said Mama, pulling on her clean shoe. Said Ben. "But you've been married 12 years, and it ain't happened yet, so I just gave up." "You tell her," said Ben, "that she probably won't see me around here much longer. Anyway." "Why not?" asked Verna. "I've been doing serious considering career choices," said Ben. "Career choices? At your age?" "Yes. I've just decided. My first choice would require me to leave town." "Tell your husband he has a hard time getting out of his chair, let alone leaving town." "You tell your mother I hope she never gets to see one of my movies." "Movies?" asked Verna. Ben stood up. "I had nothing else. I'm on my way to Hollywood. Maybe I'll send you a card, Verna." "And what do you intend to do in Hollywood?" asked Verna. "I've given it a lot of thought, and I discovered that Hollywood lost a great star when their chief sex symbol died back in 1926. Now, who was that? Rudolph Valentino. Tell your husband that Valentino was such a hot big deal that his first wife locked him out of their hotel room on their wedding knife." "Did you hear that, Ben?" asked Verna. "No. That's a disgusting rumor. Don't try to talk me out of this, because I now know what I'd like to do with my life." Women fainted when Valentino came on the stage, on the screen. "Well, they'd faint for other reasons if Ben came on the screen," said Mother. Ben locked the door and stood in the open doorway. "That does it. I decided to go to Hollywood and become a sex symbol." "Well, don't forget your toothbrush," said Verna. "Yeah," added Mother. "Anything a woman hates is a sex symbol with bad breath." Okay. That's the end of chapter 1. Sorry to say. I mean, the characters didn't laugh, but it made me laugh. Hope it made you laugh. I'll have to put a laugh track in there. I hope you enjoyed it. It's not published. You can't read it except on the internet. But you can read my other books. Just look up Jed Oliver on Amazon.com. You'll find some stuff. So, I just want to tell you, put this on the right way. Thanks for watching.